Now, it's important for you to know that when you see a question like this, these are boxes. You can select all of them. You could select a few of them. You could select one of them. Now, we wouldn't give you just one of them, most likely. So select two or more of these points that are true for this statement. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to need to take this is my x value and this is my y value and plug it into all the equations, all the inequalities, and make sure it's true, true, true. Check, check, check. So is 1 greater than or equal to -5? Now remember, any positive number is greater than a negative number. So for the first one, it checks off. So if I'm going to be checking 1, 6, already I have a check. If I plug it in here, is 1 minus 6 less than -2? Well, -5, so that works, okay. And then if I put a 6 over here, is that less than or equal to half of 1 plus 6? Well, that's 6 and anything, any positive number, it's going to be. So it's check. And FYI for your test, we're going to make sure that you're not dealing with so many decimals over here. So that's the first one. What if I were to check 3, -2? Well, for the first one, I just check is 3 greater than or equal to -5? Well, that's a quick check. And then I say, well, what about 3 minus -2? Is that less than -2? Well, that's 3 plus 2, which is 5. Is 5 less than a negative number? I say no, so I'm not going to select that one. I have to keep going. Is 0, so if I test 0, 0, is 0 greater than -5? Yes. If I were to put 0 minus 0, is that less than -2? Well, that's 0. No, that's false. I'm not going to select that. Let's keep going. Is -2 greater than -5? I believe so, yes. A smaller negative is bigger than a bigger negative. It's kind of weird like that, but you can make a number line and prove it to yourself. So then what about -2 minus -6? Is that less than -2? Well, let's see. That becomes a big plus sign. So then that becomes a +4. A +4 less than, no, that doesn't work. Okay. That was a big X too. All right, let's do -2, 5. Is -2 greater than? Yes, that's a big check. And then -2 minus 5, is that less than -2? Well, -7 is certainly less than -2. It's a check. And then I need to check down here. So if I put a -2 in for y, and then less than or equal to half of, oh, that shouldn't be a 2. That should be a, that was my y value, not my x value. So my y value here is 5. So it's 5 less than or equal to half of -2 plus 6. Well, it turns out that half of -2 is -1. -1 plus 6 is 5. So is 5 less than or equal to -5? I would say yes, it is. So then -2, 5, true. What if about 4? -4 is 0. Is -4 greater than -5? Yes. Quick check. -4 less than -2, check. And then if I put a -2 there, less than or equal to half of -4, which is -2, plus 6. It certainly is, so I would check. So these are my 3 answers.